Hello everybody. In this video, I want to explore how to create an application that will consume a REST API. We saw in the previous class, on the previous week, about how REST API are, what they are, a little bit here and there. Probably went a little bit too details regarding what it works, in what layer, function, what type of responses and objects could work better to have the request, the response, and several considerations, including the status codes of those particular APIs. So if those are the general concept itself, now I want to go to the process to actually consume one. And let's use it one in our application. So there are several places that we can look for those. Of course, later in a future video, we will create our own. But we can consume free available APIs out there that are already available. One of those that it works pretty neat that I like to see once in a while is there's a public repo called Public APIs. It has a bunch of APIs about pretty much everything there, about animals, anime, malware, arts, books, business, calendars, like any type of information that you need, even video, weather. Those are just the categories, and then the most of the APIs there. And they give you information if those are in the secure layer, HTTPS, if you scores or not, and if those have an API key that we require. They give you pretty good information about pretty much everything in the API. So that's a really good option in order to see which one is available out there. Another one that's really cool is this other one called Free APIs. This is just a web page hosted in GitHub that you can explore about the different APIs that they have. It's really similar to the other one, and you can look for different type, and they give you if it's HTTPS available, the course available, what type of authorization does it need, that kind of information. Like for example, Open Library doesn't require authorization. It's available with HTTPS and doesn't use course. And you click it, it sends you to the particular API documentation part. So the one that I will be using right now, I probably will just use one endpoint to talk about, will be in reality the Gcan unofficial um, anime link. This API, what it does is goes to my anime list. That is a website that's for those who follow anime. To be sincere, I don't follow that much, but those who follow anime can see information about manga, about anime, those Japanese cartoons across the board. Um, this guy created an API on top of that website. That's pretty neat to see. So it has different available endpoints, and it's working with the other version. As you can see here, he's using best practices regarding versioning. You can see some APIs that is available in version 1, version 2, version 4, and we'll be using pretty much like the random one. Not just to create one random and just publish different um, elements anime in our web screen. And I was thinking that probably we can use a little bit of, how can I say, of local stories to store that anime in a place. I think that could be good enough in order to understanding what we can do through there. So we can do a more complex one, like getting the user seasons and you want to publish a little more information. I just want to simplify a consumer specific API. And the way that I use this API itself is to go through documentation. You will see why I choose that. So it doesn't require authentication, that it will simplify the development right now, but it have a rate limiting that will be cool to work on. So we have a limit to use only 60 requests per minute and 3 requests per second. So that's actually cool, and I want to work around it and how to wait a specific scenario when we hit those particular one. As you can see here, the servers, they have the base API. This is the base URL that we need to hit. And here on the left, we have the different elements of the resources that we want to consume. So I'm thinking we need to use the random one, get random anime, and the resource called random anime itself. And it will give a response in JSON that have this pretty much layout. So that I like it really a lot, what it has here. Um, we can have a 400, 200, or 400 when we have an issue. We have a request there. So we have that information there. And when we hit the rate limiting, we hit the 429. You can see here in the section, we can hit the rate limit exceptions, too many requests. So we can actually cache that and do something about it. The way that they do the response error, they return an object with a status, and the status will give you specific about what is the error and the type of the error, things like that. Right. So it's pretty neat to see what it gave you. You have a good practice in there. Now there's no official layout how this need to be done. It's a criteria for every developer, but I like it the way that he handled it, so we can work through that in that particular response, right? So let's get back here to the random one and get random anime, and this will be the object that will receive back. We'll get my anime list ID where we can see URL, the different image in different format. Those could handle this will change depending the type of anime. Some of those have a better image than others, so we can loop through those to get the real image if that exists. They even have a trailer, title, how many episodes, ranking, things like that. And to keep things friendly and safe, what I like this also, they have where is it? Duration, rank, popularity members. Let me see what it was at. Explicit genders. So we need to just be careful there. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, through the process we can look through that where we can see the rating, and the rating will right here. Sorry, I didn't have it. It will go the different type of rating, so we can actually skip the ones that are no appropriate for a video, let's say like that, and try to eliminate any explicit content for the call. So I wanted to use this in order to have some kind of filter in order to see the information, and we can filter those out. So we will be safe to show everything that it came. Now, I will say some of those images are a little bit explicit. That's why I want to implement the safe on the rating, even though they have some mark that actually blocks really explicit content. The whole image itself doesn't leave things to the imagination that I don't like it. So one of the things that we can use just is implement the rating, and we can use something with everything that starts with that R. That's rated R. They have different type of ratings. I already went through those, so we will get rid of those, and we just make the call and try to the process, right? So I think we have enough to be working through this application, and we can start doing our app. So let me just get my template. Let's use it. Create a new repo. Let's call it anime. What will be a good name? Let's actually do a roulette. Anime roulette watchlist. Something like that. What I'm thinking is we have a button. I'm thinking some kind of title on the top, and then a card with a button there that we can click it. Maybe say spinning or something like that. And then we have a card at the bottom where we'll pull the anime randomly. And if you like the anime you want to store later, you can click save it, and that will save the anime on the right. And you have like a list of anime saved that are saved in your local storage in your computer, in your browser itself. So that's the layout that I'm thinking. So that's why I call it Roulette Watchlist itself. I will make it as a public. No, I will not use the copilot option. Let's create it. Wait a little minute. Cool. So now I can click code. And remember, you can go to the TPS. You can go to the SSH. You have your keys there in order to clone it. So I will use this one because I have my keys. But if you don't have your keys, if you don't know what it is, that means that probably you don't have it. So go to the TPS version. So you click this. I'm already in my project folder. I will do a simple git clone on that one. So I will go to my anime. We'll do code that. So we can actually open in my code editor that I'm not sure where it open. There you go. And I will change. This is for me, remember, guys, because I have several profiles. Let me go for the one for the class. Cool. I remember, is this the one that we use for the class? No, this isn't. We use the one called class. There you go. This is the one that we needed. Oh, I have an update in my GitHub, in my Visual Studio Code. Let me actually apply it and wait that for open for a minute. So what I wanted to showcase and see also is how we can call. There you go. Just open it. And before we continue itself, I want to go, and before even actually changing the code, I want to go to my extensions here, and I want to look for Thunder Client. This one over here. It will help us do API calls and test those in our VS Code before we actually implement whatever we need to have. So this is actually really neat. So let me just install it in order to see what the API actually is doing for us. That will open this new one over here. I will say new request. And error version does not support Visual Studio Code Insiders either. Ooh, upgrade. Oh, look like now we cannot use this one. So that will be interesting. So let me actually forget about. If it worked for you, print it. It didn't work for me. So what I will be doing is remove it, uninstall it, and let's look for another one that does pretty much the same. This one, Echo API, looks really similar. I don't like it doesn't have that much downloads. Last release 5 months ago. No, I don't like that much. That one, have less even. Let's see what we can do here. Golden Retriever now. Yep. Nope. Don't like it. So let me pause the video for now and let's see which one we can use. Okay. At the end, I went to the Echo API. That's the best second option. Did a little bit of research there. I didn't find anything unusual and should do the work. So you can use this one or you can use the Thunder client. If Thunder client work for you. In my case, I used the inside the version of my Visual Studio Code and didn't allow me to go to do my Thunder client. It's a new limitation that they did. So this is actually really cool. It has a sample folder with some examples how to do a post to create a user. It uses a Echo API. What they have, so how to get a specific user with the username. Like these are the different elements that you can use those. So I will just delete this. I don't need it. We'll delete those. And I will create a new one. That will be a get request. And I will get back to my tin can. I go through here to my random API. So I will go to my base URL, paste it right here, and then we'll do random enemy. And that's it. I don't need any more. So I will send this. And you can see right away on the bottom, I have my data. So here is actually giving me an animal called whatever this is. And Consuni and friends. Consuni probably. I don't know if I'm pronounced it correctly. So we can get the title type English probably, and post it there. We can get the title and the default title itself. We can see which one we should be putting. As you can see, we have the image. This case gave us the JPEG version and the WebP versions of the image. It has all of them. My enemy list and give you the URL. So if we copy this, they will send us directly through the actually animal list information about that particular enemy itself, right? Those are the ones that we were using. So right here we can see that element, and that's what I like it. I really like the way that we can go through this. If I click this one more time, it will be a new one. If I click it one more time, I will try to spam it. There you go. You can see that. Oh, I click it one more time. Let me see if I do. There you go. I was just clicking several times until we get the status for 29, rate limit. So we just need to be careful about that. That's the one that we need to handle. So one way to save this, we can click save. It gets here. We can rename it. And we call it like get random API, random anime, sorry. And now we have it in the list and we can test it anytime that we need it in order to pull that information itself, right? Pretty cool. As you can see, this one is a G for all ages. Let me try to be hitting it several times to see if we can get another one. We get a good one also. This is a PG-13. G, PG-13. Well, those are the ones that we're getting for now. It is actually a small one, 2 minutes per episode. It's called Echigo Bakufu. Yeah, whatever. So this is the one that we were needing. We have a complex object inside my data that will provide the information that we need, right? So this is the one that we'll be using and we'll calling it itself. It gives you the genres and the URL for the genres. So it's pretty neat in reality what this API gave you through. Now, also before we continue and before we actually touch code itself, I want to introduce one last element, and that will be the VueUse library. VueUse library is a collection of composition utilities that we can utilize. So instead of using the browser have a lot of APIs that we can use on top of it. Some of those will be, for example, you need location, you go to the browser, see the window location, those kind of element. There's an API for getting the device width. If you have it in landscape mode or you have it on vertical or in portrait mode, there's an API for where the mouse is located, and you get the mouse coordinates in X and Y. Those APIs and their basic information from the browser itself. But one of the biggest issue, those are like static data. So in order to make it reactive in Vue, you need to grab those APIs and then make some kind of, what can I call, some kind of calls itself. So, and some guards on top of it in order to make the call correctly, in order to make it reactive. So whenever something change, like the mouse position, it will be listening to the mouse movement event, and I will broadcast that to the reactivity, and we utilize those. So it's actually pretty neat. So talking about mouse, let me just go through there. So you can click in search and look for mouse, for example. And let's go to the demo one. So here, if I click it, it says press it through source type mouse, tracking on the entire page. And we can then just do the demo selection. So it doesn't see me here, copy, but if I click it here, it looks to that. So it's a really cool way to use that, like the press element. Let me just go to mouse. This is the mouse element, use mouse, the official one. You can see it right there is live reading my mouse movement in the whole page or in the structure in this particular element, in just in this particular box here. So if we go to the top, you can see in the structure says almost 0, 0, right? And here we can see that the box is around 600 by 300, more or less, right? So this is the cool thing about those elements. And here I'm thinking to use three different ones. One of them will be the use fetch. So we have the fetch API in order to make HTTP requests. And what is pretty cool about this, it gave you extra information like it's finishing, it's fetching, can abort, status codes, errors, data. They give you a bunch of stuff that's actually really, really neat. And it's everything already tied in a reactivity state. I will use this one is pretty neat. I'm thinking use local storage. So they will just it's as simple as use local storage itself, use storage, and that will just give us how to save it in our local storage element of the browser. And it's pretty neat. We give it a key and we get an object to save. And that's it. Like it get rendered right there the way they're supposed to be. So you can have an object, a boolean, number, things element. Now, when we store those on the browser, that means you open like Chrome, for example, and everything that you save there, it will work in that computer, in that browser. If you open Firefox later in the same computer, you will not see everything that is stored because it's stored in the browser itself, in the computer that you are. If you go to another computer that is Chrome too, you also will not see anything that it will be stored in in the other computer, because the local storage is specifically to the computer and the browser itself. So we use that sometimes to save like some settings when I'm using those websites that have light dark modes and the preference is being stored usually there. So information that is not confidential usually save it in the local storage. So we'll be use local storage. And the last one that I was thinking to use is the countdown. We can use the counter, but I was thinking actually use the countdown. And pretty neat. Just countdown what it does. We have give it the remaining, the start, the stop, the pause, the resume of the specific counter. So we did 5. We started. After 5 seconds, it will finish. So we started. This element goes to the value of the countdown and it has to change it all the way to 0, the way that we need it. And it's pretty neat because that's what we'll be doing. Probably do a countdown of 10 seconds every time that we hit the rate limiting. So those are the different parts that we'll be using in wrap. So I will wrap this video, this explanation video, probably go a little further, like always. Unless now in the next one, continue doing the actual development. Meanwhile, if you have any question, any doubt, don't hesitate to reach me. Happy coding, everybody.